Feel the heart. Experience the soul. Community Pulse.
Dr. Faiez in studio with me. Always a pleasure having him. Assalamu alaikum and shukran for being here.
Wa alaikum salam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh, Zainab.
How are you this morning?
Alhamdulillah, yourself?
Very well, alhamdulillah. I mentioned that you are very colourful this morning.
Yeah, I wore my jersey this morning because the weather's changing, so I didn't need my jacket today.
Now, in terms of Alzheimer's, tell us a bit more about this. I think that I'm not sure how common it is here in South Africa, but Alzheimer's, of course, it's a disease, a progressive disease that destroys memory and also other important mental functions. At first, someone with Alzheimer's disease may notice mild confusion and difficulty remembering. And eventually people with the disease may even forget important people in their lives and also undergo dramatic personality changes. Am I correct?
Yes, you are. Alzheimer's is a disaster just like cancer and many other chronic diseases. Actually, the World Health Organization regards it as a public priority, a public health priority. The solution, though, to Alzheimer's disease or Alzheimer's dementia, which is actually the commonest form of dementia, okay? There's different kinds of dementia, and Alzheimer's is the commonest form. So we all know about Alzheimer's, but there are other forms of dementia. But it doesn't matter because they're all treated in the same way, basically. The solution actually is the prevention of Alzheimer's, okay? And that sounds strange, but that's true, okay? If you want to solve this problem of Alzheimer's, you got to prevent it. Although, having said that, you can reverse Alzheimer's. Even at late stage 5 into stage 6, you can actually reverse Alzheimer's. And that may sound surprising to a lot of conventional doctors because we are taught that there's no cure for Alzheimer's, okay? But that is not true at all. Like with cancer, we are taught there's no cure for cancer. There is a cure, or there is a way to manage and to reverse Alzheimer's disease. And if you do that, if you reverse it and you prevent it or even delay the onset of Alzheimer's, countries will save hundreds of billions of dollars. Okay, because if you look at the figures of Alzheimer's globally, the prevalence, the number of people living with Alzheimer's in 2010, a World Health report came out, was published, and they said that was 35.6 million people living with Alzheimer's in 2010. I'm sure the figure must be close to 40 million now. But the cost in 2010 cost the world $604 billion, okay? That's 7 years ago. So it may be 640 billion or 50 billion, who knows? It's just ridiculous when you have a disease that can be prevented to incur such massive costs. It doesn't make any sense. In fact, in the States, they say the cost of Alzheimer's is soon going to equal the cost of the defense budget. Sure. But what is Alzheimer's? That's the thing. What is Alzheimer's? It's like you said, it's a condition which is characterized by memory loss, by difficulty with thinking, with problem solving, language perception, change in mood and behavior. And this impacts on the daily functioning of people who suffer from Alzheimer's. And so they have loss of memory, as we said. They can't plan, they can't organize, they can't concentrate. They have mood changes. They even have hallucinations. They see things which are not there. They even have these false beliefs, delusions, as I said, unusual behaviors, and even physical symptoms like muscle weakness, weight loss, and so forth. So there's much to talk about when it comes to Alzheimer's. And one of the reasons why I set up the Institute was actually because when I studied this global health crisis, I realized the only way to solve it was actually to prevent disease and to reverse disease. That's the only way to solve it. And so I developed these programs and wrote books and so forth. And we merge medicine, root cause medicine with health and wellness empowerment, which is prevention and reversal of chronic disease. So I was pleasantly surprised not too long ago when I learned what Dr. Charles Mayo, founder of the Mayo Clinic, 100 years ago said about reversing disease. And I'd been thinking about this, as I said, several years ago, and they set up this institute. And I can maybe say what he said, tell you what he said just now. Anyway, yeah.
Now, the first thing that comes to mind when I'm thinking about Alzheimer's is, what are the causes really? Does it only come with age?
It's multifactorial, okay? But Dr. Thomas J. Lewis, who wrote a book called The End of Alzheimer's, he co-authored the book. He said Alzheimer's is the consequence of a lousy diet, okay? But actually, all chronic disease is the consequence of a lousy diet, a lousy environment,
A lousy
and a
lifestyle.
lousy lifestyle.
Yes.
And now, conventional medicine says that Alzheimer's is caused by these plaques in the brain called amyloid plaques and neurofibrillary tangles, which occur in the new nerve cells, and these plaques occur outside of the nerve cells and they kill off nerve cells. That is found not to have been true. It's not true. They've developed drugs. The pharmaceutical companies have invested hundreds of millions of dollars trying to find a drug that will get rid of these plaques and tangles, and they've all failed because that's not the cause of Alzheimer's. Okay. So the pharmaceutical companies are driving the agenda when it comes to finding a cure for Alzheimer's, but the cure is already there. We know what the cure is. Prevent it and reverse it. Deal with your diet, your lifestyle, and your environment. Yeah.
Now, I read an interesting article on the recital of or the memorization of the Quran, or just reading the Quran, and how this is one of the means of preventing Alzheimer's, because your brain basically reads from the right to the left. And you obviously, when you read a normal book, it reads from the opposite side, which in fact is good exercise to prevent Alzheimer's. Tell me, is that true?
Brilliant. I don't know about that, but I would imagine it is true because when you stimulate your brain, you challenge your brain, like in brain fitness training. One of the ways to generate new brain cells is to challenge your brain. It's like you want to increase your physical fitness, you exercise. When you increase your brain fitness, you exercise your brain. Okay, and obviously, if you do something unusual which you're not used to, like reading the Quran, we read from left to right, and now you're reading from right to left. Yeah, that's a challenge to your brain, and you form new brain cells. Alzheimer's disease occurs because your brain cells die off. Something is killing off your brain cells, and in Alzheimer's, it's a slow progression of killing off your brain cells. And then you lose brain function, and depends on which part of the brain are affected, so you lose those different functions. Usually starts off with memory and emotional problems. Your amygdala and your hippocampus are initially affected in Alzheimer's, then other parts of the brain, and that's why you get all these symptoms and signs. But certainly that's a very good point about reading the Quran. I mean, it's a challenge to your brain. Absolutely. And it forms new brain cells, I would imagine.
So to all those studying hifz, I think it's a good it's good.
Absolutely. Yes. Anything that challenges your brain and brilliant point, actually. Yeah.
Now, if you have just joined us, you're listening to Radio 786 on 100.4 FM. I do have Dr. Faiez in studio with me. We're talking about Alzheimer's, and we're looking at some preventative measures or reversal measures. Now, I spoke about what could possibly be the causes, and interestingly, you said that it's poor diet, it's poor lifestyle, basically. But I did also ask whether or not it's only associated with old age.
No. One of the, as you get old, getting older doesn't mean you're going to get Alzheimer's or dementia. Okay? You can grow old healthily and die of old age, not of any disease. Okay? But the reason why people get Alzheimer's and all these chronic diseases is because we have this chronic low-grade systemic inflammation, okay, throughout the body, but also in the brain. In fact, Alzheimer's is actually a disease of the whole body that manifests in the brain. Okay, so basically, it's a sick brain in a sick body. And the reason why people get Alzheimer's is because of this inflammation in the brain. Okay, why is the brain inflamed? And that's the question we must ask ourselves. And that is really the underlying problem that we're dealing with in Alzheimer's and most chronic diseases, actually. Yeah.
Now, inflammation is one of the words or terms that I find comes up all the time. Inflammation of the brain or the body. What exactly do we mean when we say that the brain is inflamed?
It means your immune system has been activated, okay, for some or other reason. Okay, now why is your immune system activated? Because something is put it into an alarm mode. Okay, something's gotten into your body and your blood that's saying to your body and to your immune system, you better start get activated because there's an enemy within. Okay, so what are we putting in our bodies that our bodies and our immune system see as enemies? One of the things is the food we eat. It's not actually food. Okay, in fact, Dr. Dwight Landau is a chief cardiac surgeon at Banner Heart Hospital in Arizona. He said, several times a day, every day, the harmful foods we eat create small injuries, compounding into more injuries, causing the body to respond continuously and appropriately with inflammation. So he said he's a cardiac surgeon. He says he's looked at thousands of blood vessels. That's what he does every day. He cuts open blood vessels, looks at them. And he said when you look inside an inflamed blood vessel, it actually looks like somebody's taken sandpaper and scraped that blood vessel. That's how inflamed and angry it looks. And Alzheimer's disease is actually a disease of the capillaries, the tiniest blood vessels which supply oxygen and blood to your nerve cells. And when they're inflamed, they're dysfunctional, they can't do their job properly, and your nerve cells die off. So inflammation is a huge problem. There is an infective component which stimulates inflammation, hidden infections, but primarily it's diet, lifestyle, and poor and terrible environments that we're living in.
So is it correct to say that we are almost the cause of our own destruction?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
We have a call on the line before you comment. Let's go to the lines. Radio 786. Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum salam, sister.
Wa alaikum salam.
I'd just like to comment, and I also would like to hear Dr. Faiz's comments. It is now been found that the brains of Alzheimer's disease patients, they found an abnormally high content of aluminium in the brain. And they've traced this back to possibly some of the cheap pots that they are using in cooking, so that you constantly absorb some of these trace aluminium that comes off from the poor metal. And the newer drugs that is now on the market is going to target the aluminium in the brain by chelating that particular the metal out and absorbing it that way out of the brain, and hopefully that will give some relief to and perhaps cure some of the disease of Alzheimer's. Shukran.
Okay. Shukran. Wa alaikum salam wa rahmatullah. Yes, I've also seen something, some video clip where they in fact explain how the foil that you normally put even over your sandwiches and those and the pots and the aluminium or the yes, some sort of aluminium type that it gives off contributes to Alzheimer's.
I don't know about aluminium, but I won't be surprised if aluminium, any heavy metal that shouldn't be in the body, has a potential to cause inflammation and damage to the cells. And the nerve cells are very sensitive, so aluminium killing off nerve cells, I'm sure, would be a problem. But developing a drug for the aluminium, unless it's a detox drug, I don't know about any detox drugs, but anything that's going to take out the heavy metals from the body and the brain would definitely help in any way, in any case. But we're exposed to all of these heavy metals, whether it's in cooking pots, coming from chemtrails. Apparently they dropping aluminium from the skies now. So how do you avoid these things? Yeah, I won't be surprised if aluminium is a problem. Yeah.
Dr. Faiez, Kirsten in studio with me, medical doctor, also extensive experience in various aspects of the healthcare environment, including many years of emergency and trauma, as well as the founding director of the Health and Wellness Performance Institute. We are receiving a few questions via WhatsApp, and one of it reads, Assalamu alaikum, I pick up some of the signs and symptoms in my 16-year-old daughter. How can I help her?
The thing about Alzheimer's is it's best to pick it up early. You can diagnose it in the preclinical stage, but already she has clinical signs, which is memory problems. It's post-clinical now. It's beyond the preclinical stage. There's various stages of Alzheimer's, stage 1, 2, and 3, and the Canadian Alzheimer's Society has 7 stages, okay? But it's best to pick it up early, and so there's a process you go through, like screening will pick it up very early, even before the signs and symptoms. You do certain blood tests and so forth. Look at the eyes. The eyes are a window to the brain. The back of the eye is actually an extension of the brain, and anything happening in the brain you can pick up in the eye. Okay. So you can pick up systemic disease in the eye, brain disease you can pick it up in the eye, neurodegenerative disease are oftentimes picked up in the eye first before anything else. Because you do a brain scan, and that's going to pick up early stage brain disease. Usually picks it up when the brain is already shrunk, it's a bit late. So yes, I mean, the lady that's phoned in or sent in a WhatsApp message, she must have her daughter assessed, see if she's not on a road to Alzheimer's. Okay,
now in terms of Alzheimer's being hereditary, or is it possible that it could be in your genes?
Less than 2% of Alzheimer's cases is genetic. Okay, so Alzheimer's is not really primarily a genetic condition. It's a human-caused condition, okay? 98% of the control of Alzheimer's is in the hands of the person who's at risk of Alzheimer's and who actually has Alzheimer's, especially in the early stages.
It brings me to my previous question about whether or not we cause our own destruction.
We actually do, because you're not living in harmony with natural law. Now, the most important natural law, I think, to my mind, is the law of cause and effect. So Alzheimer's and any chronic disease is actually an effect, okay? So something's caused it. All right. And oftentimes it's the human mind, which is really the plane of causality. What we're thinking, what we're believing, what we're feeling, and how we behave is actually causing what's happening to us. So this is an effect that we're experiencing. We need to address the causes. And once we address the causes, hopefully we'll turn this thing around.
Dr. Faiez speaking about Alzheimer's this morning, how to prevent it. Now, earlier we mentioned exercising the brain and why this is important. What other methods or means can we make use of it to exercise the brain? Because I'd like to take that technique, Dr. Faiez.
Brain fitness training. Okay. You actually get free online programs where you can train your brain. Basically, okay, I've been doing this for years. Sort of slacked off the last couple of months, but I'm picking up again. Or you get paid. You can have paid services where you actually pay every month, and then you use the those programs, those applications, and they really challenge all the different cognitive functions: your processing speed, your focus, your attention, your memory, and so forth. Very interesting, actually, and you can actually see. And it shows you on a graph what your performance is like, your brain performance. Reading, stimulating job, playing games, musical instruments. These are the things basically, even frequent social interactions, all stimulate the brain and help neurogenesis. And there's certain brilliant foods that actually cause your brain to improve it in health, and also which stimulates neurogenesis, actually. And I can name those foods just now, maybe.
Now, I'm just thinking of someone that is busy aging, someone that is reaching old age. They may not be as socially active as we are because we're younger, but won't this also impact on whether or not, because there's less talk, perhaps there's less reading because of eyesight, and the things that you mentioned, it kind of lessens. So wouldn't that also be part of why dementia or Alzheimer's is at the end of the life?
Oh, do you mean the social interaction aspect? Well, if you're not socially active, then your brain takes a negative impact on your brain. So that'll certainly help people as they age, as to interact with other people, maybe their age or even younger people. That's a stimulation to the brain. Obviously, isolation of an old person is really not a good idea, because not only does loneliness increase your risk of early death, it also has a negative impact just on your life in general and your health, basically.
Now, earlier we had a comment from a caller saying with regards to the aluminium that we find in the pots or sometimes in the foil that we use to wrap the sandwiches, etc. And here someone says, Assalamu alaikum Zainab, what I do before cooking, I boil water in my pot. Okay.
That probably removes the surface aluminium and come off and get into the food. So that sounds like a good idea, actually.
Okay. And then what can we do to minimize it, the Alzheimer's? What can one do?
Well, all those things basically that will enhance your brain health and enhance your health in general, basically. And the first thing to prevent Alzheimer's really is to, as I said, address the root causes. One of them is your diet. Ketogenic diet has been found to basically reverse Alzheimer's. Okay, so if you cut down on carbohydrates, first of all processed foods remove from your diet. We've said this many times before, especially your refined carbohydrates and sugar. Sugars are corrosive to your arteries, to your circulatory system. It's really bad. Just stop eating it, okay? Enhance your gut health. Your gut, your bacteria in your gut, they play a massive role in your health or your lack of health. So if your bacteria are happy, your immune system will be happy, and your brain is happy, because they produce nutrients, they produce neurotransmitters which improve your brain health and your health overall. Supplements, there's a range of supplements you should be taking, like magnesium, vitamin D, curcumin, fish oil, krill oil, berberine, vitamin K2. There's many things you can do to prevent, Alzheimer's from occurring. Take certain drugs that you're on. For example, cholesterol-lowering drugs are known. You get drug-induced dementia. They will kill off your brain cells, cause neurodegeneration. Look at the drugs you're taking, the side effects of the drugs. If you're on certain pharmaceutical drugs and you're starting to develop symptoms of Alzheimer's or dementia rather, then look at that and, maybe that may be a cause, Exercise actually stimulates the production, as you said, of brain cells, okay? So many things that you can do, If you're diabetic, make sure your diabetes is sorted out and so forth.
Now, we are receiving a few more messages coming through via WhatsApp on 0786 10 11 12. And also someone explaining that a terrific black hole of emptiness is situated somewhere in the brain. And you should take a good look at your husband or your wife, because you don't know whether or not you will remember their faces as you age. But of course, part of this morning's discussion is how we can basically prevent and reverse Alzheimer's. Now, we are due for a break, but I think it's important just to very quickly, Dr. Faiez, just touch on the aspect of reversal. How does one reverse Alzheimer's? Because I was of the opinion that once a person has Alzheimer's, then they have Alzheimer's.
No, as I said, even up to stage 5, early stage 6, you can reverse Alzheimer's. If you have, if you've gone beyond mild cognitive impairment to more serious stage 3 Alzheimer's, which is another classification. As I said, Canadians have got a 7-stage classification. You can reverse it, whether it's in stage 3, which I think the National Institute of Health actually came up with this staging, but the Canadian Alzheimer's Society have the 7 stages, and even up to stage 6, you can actually reverse it. And it's your lifestyle, your environment, and your diet. All of those things that we spoke about is going to reverse Alzheimer's, okay? This is physical exercise, stress reduction, eat your veggies, okay? Take your supplements, exercise your brain. All of these things are going to actually help reverse Alzheimer's and prevent it if you don't actually have it.
Now, we are going to take that short break, inshallah, and Dr. Faiez, we're talking about Alzheimer's too. Stay tuned.
Feel the heart. Experience the soul. Community Pulse.
This is the first hour this morning, taking a closer look at Alzheimer's. And Alzheimer's disease is the most common cause of dementia, a group of brain disorder that causes the loss of intellectual and social skills. In Alzheimer's disease, the brain cells degenerate and die, causing a steady decline in memory and mental function. Dr. Faiez in studio with me. One of the messages we received is Assalamu alaikum. In yoga, a tongue exercise daily is taught, moving the tongue from side to side 10 times. Now, also dhikr and consistent texting the Quran will also help. That is the reciting of the Quran.
I don't know about the yoga, but I won't be surprised if it helps, and what the person said there,
And then we have an interesting message that says, Assalamu alaikum. My husband Jim was diagnosed with Alzheimer's in 2008. At first he was just forgetting people's names, where he put things and conversations he'd had. But as the months and years went on, his cognitive health deteriorated rapidly and his personality changed a lot, which was incredibly distressing to witness. He would wander aimlessly around the house, talk to me like he was stuck in the 1960s, and confused the toilet with the front door, which meant he would urinate into the streets. This caused many problems with our neighbors, who demanded that we put him in a care home. But I discovered a program and there was a miraculous change. And so now I feel like I do have my husband back.
Oh, that's amazing. I'd like to learn what that program is, actually. But a guy by the name of Joey Como, he said, Alzheimer's disease is death before death. And I'm terrified of it, okay, which says a lot about what Alzheimer's dementia is all about.
Yes, it is. Assalamu alaikum. Alzheimer's patients seem to be very stubborn, and also the way they're being treated by family doesn't help the patients either.
Yeah, no, it's a difficult condition to treat. If somebody suffers from Alzheimer's, it causes major dysfunction and upheaval in the family, because it's difficult to manage a person who's not control of their cognitive and mental functions.
Yeah.
So it's a really, really difficult thing. And the tragedy is, as I said, it can be reversed. People don't have to live with Alzheimer's if they're not in stage 7 or late stage 6, you know. If people take, the bull by the horns, they can actually reverse it. Yeah.
Let's talk about that bull by the horns and some of the reversal methods, Dr. Faiez.
Like I said, you got to look at lifestyle, environment, diet. and chronic psychological stress. All of these things are manageable, they're reversible, they can be dealt with, they can be changed. So let's go through that again. You got to look at your diet. The ketogenic diet has been shown to basically reverse Alzheimer's, okay? Enhance your gut health, improve the health, your microbiome. Take supplements. Magnesium is crucial. Very important to take magnesium. Most people are deficient in magnesium. Take vitamin D. A lot of people are deficient in vitamin D, even though we're living in a place where there's a lot of sunshine. The northern hemispheres don't get much sunshine, so people are deficient in vitamin D. But I found every patient really, maybe just one or two, where I did their vitamin D levels, most people are deficient in vitamin D. And vitamin D deficiency does lead to Alzheimer's, besides a whole lot of other conditions also. Look at the drugs that you're on. Are they causing, cognitive dysfunction? Exercise, physical exercise, do that, on a regular basis. Get the blood flowing to your brain so that you can provide oxygen and nutrients, to your brain cells. If you have cardiovascular disease, have a doctor sort that out for you. Eat your veggies. I mean, you'll be amazed at what veggies actually contain. They contain phytochemicals that actually cause neurogenesis. They cause new brain cells to be formed, especially cruciferous vegetables. Coconut oil, the medium chain triglycerides, which coconut oil contains, 60% of it is MCTs, has been proven to reverse Alzheimer's, okay? So to also prevent Alzheimer's. Blueberries are brilliant to enhance cognitive function. Brain foods, like avocados, eat them every day, Turmeric, it's got amazing stuff in it besides curcumin. It's got 8-R-tumerone in it, which generates brain cells. Broccoli, as I said, beets, celery, extra virgin olive oil. Train your brain every day. Challenge your brain, challenge yourself. Engage in stress reduction techniques. There's so many things that you must do on a regular basis. Let it become part of your lifestyle. You do it automatically. Get into the habit of doing these things and you'll prevent Alzheimer's.
Speak to us about some of the activities for the brain that one can engage in order to ensure that you're at least exercising or challenging the brain.
Like I said, those brain fitness training applications, they're very, very good. Okay, read a lot. Read the Quran, like you said, because that's really going to be a challenge to your brain, especially if you don't understand Arabic, or you can't really read Arabic, or you can read Arabic, but we're reading from right to left instead of left to right like we do normally with English. Do that. That's a challenge to your brain. Play games, interact socially. There's so many things you can do to basically challenge your brain. There's many things, yeah.
Interesting question. Does our genetically modified veggies have the same nutritional value as the organic?
Not at all. I mean, GMOs are completely unnatural. I mean, they've been genetically modified, and you're putting that stuff into your body. They can only but do damage to you, and that's what they do basically. They're not natural foods. They're just not natural. You can regard them as artificial foods, and artificial foods are actually poison. So GMOs are dangerous. If we could stay away from them, we should actually.
And then, Assalamu alaikum, family need to educate themselves about Alzheimer's so they can be more help to the patient. You do need a lot of compassion, and they can be adorable people. And then also, I'm 56 years old, male. Try memorizing, example, the smallest surahs of the Quran. It's invigorating for my brain.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, memorizing the Quran is a really good challenge to your brain. Obviously, everybody should be trying to do that. But without a doubt, you're going to grow new nerve cells if you do
that. Let's go to the lines. We have a caller. This is Radio 786. Assalamu alaikum.
Alaikum salam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh to you and your guests.
Alaikum salam.
In fact, I would like to contribute to the program. The problem is with many people is they're too lazy to think or to reason. And people are, first of all, very lazy to read. So by reading, you have to work out and understand things where it is sensible or not. It is very good to give children puzzles, because when they play with puzzles, that's how they can figure out things for themselves. But unfortunately, because people are lazy, they don't want to understand these things. That's why they can't reason. That's why Allah says in the Quran to the believers, and for those who have faculties of wisdom, tell them, let's come to common ground what's between us and you. Let's have a debate. Let's have an open discussion. Even if it goes against you, it doesn't matter. The idea is to analyze and to figure out things. If your decision is wrong, but your intention is pure, then Allah will reward you according to your intention, irrespective of what it is. Now, this is what we must try to inculcate in our people. They must not be scared of debate or discussion or reading or to analyze. That's how they will come to solutions and conclusions to all the problems we have in the world. Although our parliament has become a circus, but it is quite entertaining. But the only thing here in parliament is they don't respect each other. They're very rude and abrupt. But the debate is very good in parliament. Now, this we should have in every aspect in our life. Jazakumullah.
Shukran wa alaikum salam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Oh, shukran for that, brother. Very good points that you bring up there. Yes, critical thinking is crucial. I mean, in fact, thinking is the plane of causality. Everything really starts with a thought and then a belief, and then from there you get reality. Something happens in the world outside of your mind, okay? And that's why we're encouraged to think all the time. Critical thinking will generate new brain cells, okay? Will enhance your brain out. So continuous critical thinking is very crucial. But the reason why we have a messed up world, a chaotic world, is because our thinking is chaotic. It's actually wrong. And we basically, as the brother says, we're lazy to think. And so critical thinking should become part of basically who we are on a daily basis. And maybe then we can change the world to be a better place. Puzzles is a brilliant one also. You must give your kids puzzles. And, solving puzzles is really problem solving. And that will actually help a lot also.
We are moving to the WhatsApp line, and it says, Assalamu alaikum, shukran, what a breath of fresh air. A doctor with an integrative approach, alhamdulillah. Baking powder also contains aluminium. I personally know of 2 women who were avid bakers using lots of baking powder, and both suffers from severe Alzheimer's. There is a healthy alternative to making our own baking powder, and you can find this recipe on Google. Shukran, and I'm enjoying the program. Deodorants also contain aluminium. You can make your own or buy the alternative. And then, Assalamu alaikum, Sister Zainab, I agree with your guest. Olive oil, very rich with vitamin D, and your diet and nutrition, they are very important. And walking or jogging, it will also keep you more healthier. And well done to Radio 786 for educating us. Keep up the good work from Yusuf Kanuni. Yes.
Shukran very much for that, brother. Aluminium, like she's right, he's right. Aluminium in the deodorants is there. It is a problem. Where else did you say aluminium was? Just forget now.
It's also in deodorant.
Deodorant, yeah. I think it's something. Oh, yes, in baking powder.
Baking powder.
Yes, I know about that. Aluminium is in baking powder. I avoid baking powder. I use sodium bicarbonate. I hope it doesn't have aluminium. But I understand it doesn't, so yeah. But you don't know today. I mean, stuff is in food that we think is not in the food, is actually in the food. And unless you have a forensic scientist, food scientist, measuring these things, like the health ranger in America, he's a top food scientist, and he measures these things, and he finds stuff in foods that you don't think is there. The other day I discovered in one of these chocolate brands there's a lot of lead and cadmium. And I eat a bit of this dark chocolate is very good for you. It's one of the top health foods. And I found out it contains a lot of lead and aluminium. Cadmium rather, sorry. And I emailed them, and they responded to me, and they said, no, our quality control is extremely good, but the soil that we get that the cacao grows in different countries, we can't guarantee, what the content of the lead and the cadmium is in the soil. So some of our chocolates will have higher levels of cadmium and lead than others. So what do you do?
Let's go to the lines. You're live on here. Assalamu alaikum.
Assalamu alaikum, Zainabin. Also welcome to the doctor. It's such a refreshing discussion, that the doctor puts up. It's about consumerism, we have been molded to become consumers, and this is unfortunate. But I just want to share a book with the doctor and with everybody that's listening. They must please, Google this, Dr. Heiner Lodz. Dr. Heiner Lodz. HEINER LOTZE. Dr. Heiner Lodz. Very interesting, doctor. What you are saying is there is a cure for everything. I mean, like you said, to read the Quran, to keep your mind stimulated, is part of the cure for Alzheimer. And it's so true. But I'm sharing this because I'm on the mountain. I'm just going to get the signal. Eventually, I got the signal now. Dr. Heiner Lodz.
Okay.
HEINER LOTZE. Very interesting. Shukran, doctor.
Shukran so much.
And I hope there's more doctors like you that come up with preventive measures. Shukran, doctor.
Shukran so much. Wa alaikum salam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. We have about 2 minutes before we need to conclude. Time flies when you're having fun, Doctor. So, just on a final note and concluding this morning's discussion on Alzheimer's, we've mentioned quite a number of things. We've spoken about what Alzheimer's is, how to basically prevent Alzheimer's, and that really being one of the cures to prevent it, because Islam even is about prevention instead of cure, isn't it?
Without a doubt. I mean, the whole Quran promotes health, basically. I haven't found a verse in the Quran which actually promotes sickness. So maybe I have missed something, and people can bring that to my attention if they have found a verse. But I haven't really found. I found overall the Quran actually promotes health, and so if we're living in accordance with the Quran, we should be actually trying to be as healthy as what we can be. Okay, yeah. Okay. So I think you want me to conclude?
Yes, but before you do that, we are getting a few more WhatsApp messages. If I can just very quickly go to the WhatsApp line again. I think there's 2 final messages that we can just very quickly do that. If you've just joined us, it's Radio 786 on 100.4 FM, and you are tuned to a Community Pulse. Assalamu alaikum. I'm 60 years old, on no medication, doesn't like tablets. What tablets can I take to boost my brain?
No tablets. no pharmaceutical drugs, okay? Those are they unnatural to the body. Diet, supplements. Which supplements? Curcumin, okay? Turmeric, brilliant. Ginkgo biloba. Green tea, stimulates neurogenesis. Drinking green tea every day, taking a capsule of green tea extract will make you produce new brain cells. As I said, vitamin D, magnesium. If you're postmenopausal, take your estrogen supplements, okay? Krill oil, fish oil, all of these things that we mentioned earlier on. Yeah.
Assalamu alaikum, Zainab. And the doctor, can you take turmeric with honey?
You can, yeah.
Okay. And then I suffer from hypertension, hypothyroidism, also diabetes. And about a month ago, I was rushed to hospital because I had no feeling in my limbs and I could not speak. Could this be an early sign of Alzheimer's?
It's possible. It could be a vitamin B12 deficiency. It could be several causes for those symptoms and signs, yeah.
Okay, so Dr. Faiez, just on a final note, your contact details for people that would like to find a bit more.
078 416 2673, 078 416 2673, and you can SMS me. Best to SMS me and I'll phone you back. And Faiez at brainscience.co.za.
And there you have it. That is Faiez at brainscience.co.za. Also contact Dr. Faiez on 078 416 2673. That's 078 416 2673 to find out more. Dr. Faiez, shukran so much for your time. Always a pleasure having you in studio.
A person by the name of Jared Kin said, Alzheimer's is the cleverest thief because she not only steals from you, but she steals the very thing you need to remember what's been stolen.
And we're going to leave it on that note. Shukran so much, Dr. Faiez.
Afwan. Appreciate being here.
Stay with us.